Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare.
Gaura Bhakta
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Ram, Hare Ram.
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
ఆంటీ ఇచ్చిండే కొంచెం తిన్నా.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే హరే.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Jai Shri
Hare,
Krishna Chaitanya,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Srivasa,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
Hare
श्री
Ram,
वासुदेव
Hare Ram,
गोविंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram,
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
हरे राम हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे राम
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
हरे कृष्ण
Ram,
कृष्ण
Ram
हरे
Ram,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
Hare
राम
Krishna,
हरे Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare
Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram,
Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Rama
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama Hare
Ram,
Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram, Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare Rama
Hare,
Hare Rama 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 Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram,
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare Jai
Hare
Shri
Ram, Hare Ram,
Prabhu
Ram,
Nityananda
Ram,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sadi Gauravattu Vrinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare Rama Hare
Ram, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Raju Prabhu, Samyukta Mataji, Sandhya Mataji, Dandavad Pranams. All glory to
Hare
Srila
Krishna
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you very much for joining. యాక్చువల్గా టుడే క్యాన్సిల్ చేద్దాం అనుకున్నాను కానీ బట్ ఇట్స్ ఓకే సార్ జాయిన్ అయ్యారు కదా. ఈరోజు దుర్గాష్టమి కదా, సో ఐ థింక్ బతుకమ్మ పండుగ అవునా ప్రభు? రాజు ప్రభు ఈరోజే కదా.
ఎస్ ప్రభుజీ, అవును.
కొన్ని ప్లేసులు వేరేనా రేపా?
కొందరు నిన్న కూడా చేసుకున్నారు రోజు ఇక్కడ చుట్టుపక్కల. ఇవాళ ఇక్కడైతే మా ఊళ్ళో అయితే ఇక్కడ ఇవాళ ఉంది.
అదే
ఏదో అష్టమి ఇవాళ, యాక్చువల్లీ ఇవాళ ప్రభుజీ అష్టమి అని చెప్పేసి కొందరు నిన్న తీసుకున్నారు.
ఐ థింక్ సంధ్యా మాత మీరు నిజామాబాద్ అనుకుంటా కదా, సంయుక్త మాత మీరు మహబూబ్ నగరా? ఎక్కడ మాత అయిందా ఫెస్టివల్? నిన్న ఈరోజు
చెయ్యరు ప్రభుజీ, ఇది బతుకమ్మ సెలబ్రేషన్స్ లేవు ప్రభుజీ.
మీకు ఉండదా? ఓకే ఓకే. మీరు ఎక్కడ, మీది ఏ ఏరియా సంయుక్త మాతది?
నారాయణపేట ప్రభుజీ.
నారాయణపేట అంటే అదే ఎక్కడ వస్తుంది? ఏ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ అది?
నారాయణపేట డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ ప్రభుజీ, కొత్తగా అయింది ప్రభుజీ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్.
తెలంగాణ కదా?
తెలంగాణనే ప్రభుజీ. ఫస్ట్ మహబూబ్నగర్ లో ఉండేది ప్రభుజీ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్, తర్వాత నారాయణపేట చేస్తారు ప్రభుజీ.
నారాయణపేట ఏంది?
నారాయణపేట ప్రభుజీ, నారాయణపేట.
నారాయణపేట డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ అది?
ఎస్ ప్రభుజీ. కర్ణాటక బార్డర్ వచ్చింది ప్రభుజీ, సో మోస్ట్లీ ఇవే సెలబ్రేషన్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి ప్రభుజీ, కర్ణాటక ఫెస్టివల్స్.
అచ్చా అచ్చా. సో మరి అది పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ తెలంగాణనే కదా, ఇది బిగ్ ఫెస్టివల్, నేషనల్ మన స్టేట్ ఫెస్టివల్ బతుకమ్మ పండుగ అనేది.
దసరా బాగా సెలబ్రేట్ చేస్తారు ప్రభుజీ, బట్ ఈ నవరాత్రులు ఇవి లేవు ప్రభుజీ, బతుకమ్మ మరి ఐ డోంట్ నో.
మీకు షూర్. యా ఎనీవే, అందరికి కూడా దుర్గాష్టమి శుభాకాంక్షలు. దుర్గాష్టమి ఇస్ మహామాయ యాక్చువల్లీ ఇన్ అవర్ కృష్ణ కాన్షియస్నెస్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్. In order to run this material universe, material world, Durga Shakti as her Maya potency is running actually. So thank you for joining. We'll start with Mangalacharna prayer and we'll start today Bhagavatam first canto 12th chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mama Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah. Canto 1 entitled as Creation, and then chapter 12 entitled as Birth of Emperor Parikshit. We have done previously that chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. Now, last week we completed Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter. So now let us go through 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 12th chapter. Birth of Emperor Parikshit. Yeah. Samyukta Mother, please start.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The sage Saunaka said, the womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwadhama. But Maharaja Parikshit was saved by the Supreme Lord. Purport. The sages assembled in the forest of Naimisharanya inquired from Sutta Goswami about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. But in the course of the narration, other topics like the release of the Brahmastra by the son of Drona, his punishment by Arjuna, Queen Kunti Devi's prayers, the Pandavas' visit to the place where Bhishma Deva was lying, his prayers, and thereafter the Lord's departure for Dwaraka were discussed. His arrival at Dwaraka and residing with the 16,000 queens, etc., were narrated. The sages were absorbed in hearing such descriptions, but now they wanted to turn to the original topic, and thus the inquiry was made by Shaunaka Rishi. So the subject matter of the release of the Brahmastra weapon by Ashwadhama is renewed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mata. Yeah, Sandhya Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
No problem.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. How was the great emperor Parikshit, who was a highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his death take place, and what did he achieve after his death? Purport. The king of Hastinapura, now Delhi, used to be the emperor of the world, at least till the time of the son of Emperor Parikshit. Maharaja Parikshit was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother, so he could certainly be saved from an untimely death due to the ill will of the son of a Brahmana. Because the age of Kali began to act just after the assumption of power by Maharaj Parikshit, the first sign of misgivings was exhibited in the cursing of such a greatly intelligent and devoted king as Maharaj Parikshit. The king is the protector of the helpless citizens, and their welfare, peace, and prosperity depend on him. Unfortunately, by the instigation of the fallen age of Kali, an unfortunate Brahmana's son was employed to condemn the innocent Maharaja Parikshit, and so the king had to prepare himself for death within 7 days. Maharaja Parikshit is especially famous as one is protected by Vishnu, and when he was unduly cursed by a Brahmana's son, he could have invoked the mercy of the Lord to save him, but he did not want to because he was a pure devotee. A pure devotee never asks the Lord for any undue favor. Maharaja Parikshit knew that the curse of the Brahmana's son upon him was unjustified, as everyone else knew. But he did not want to counteract it because he knew also that the age of Kali had begun and that the first symptom of the age, namely degradation of the highly talented Brahmana community, had also begun. He did not want to interfere with the current of the time, but he prepared himself to meet death very cheerfully and very properly. Being fortunate, he got at least 7 days to prepare himself to meet death, and so he properly utilized the time in the association of Sukadeva Goswami, the great saint and devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. So, Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
We all respectively want to hear about him, Maharaja Parikshit, to whom Sukadeva Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. Purport. Sukadeva Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge to Maharaja Parikshit during the remaining 7 days of his life. And Maharaja Parikshit heard him properly, just like an ardent student. The effect of such bona fide hearing and chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam was equally shared by both the hearer and the chanter. Both of them were benefited. Out of the 9 different transcendental means of devotional service to the Lord described in the Bhagavatam, either all of them, or some of them, or even one of them are equally beneficial if properly discharged. Maharaja Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami were serious performers of the first two imported items, namely the process of chanting and the process of hearing, and therefore both of them were successful in their laudable attempt. Transcendental realization is attained by such serious hearing and chanting, and not otherwise. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple much advertised in the age of Kali. It is said that the master injects spiritual forces into the disciple by an electrical current generated by the master, and the disciple begins to feel a shock. He becomes unconsciousness, and the master weeps for his exhausting of store of so-called spiritual assets. Such bogus advertisement is going on this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisement. We did not find such folk tales in the dealings of Sukadeva Goswami and his great disciple Maharaja Parikshit. The sage recited Srimad Bhagavatam in devotion, and the great king heard him properly. The king did not feel any shock of electrical current from the master, nor did he become unconsciousness while receiving the knowledge from the master. One should not therefore become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements made by some bogus representative of Vedic knowledge. The sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaja Parikshit because of his receiving knowledge from Sukadeva Goswami by means of ardent hearing. Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive the transcendental knowledge, and there is no need of medical performances or occult mysticism for miraculous effects. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can be achieved the desired result.
Yes, two processes: process of chanting and process of hearing. Sukadeva Goswami is describing that is the chanting, and then Parikshit Maharaj is hearing. That is the adopting method, Srimad Bhagavatam, to hear, to recite and hear. Yes. Yeah, Lalit Mohan Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, just I wanted to, just before going this now, till now, the conversation is between Suta Goswami and
Parikshit
sages of Naimisharanya.
Maharaj.
No, sages of Naimisharanya. Their conversation is going on of what? To tell the story of a flashback, which Suta Goswami heard. From now, Suta Goswami says, and after that, after some time, it will directly go to. So what Sukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj. Now we are the first part of flashback. First part, main part, present stage we are. From here, then from after this chapter, 13th and 14th, 14th, I guess, probably 13th or 14th, we will go to the conversations between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Sukadeva Goswami said like this, Parikshit said like this, Parikshit asked like this, Sukadeva Goswami said like this. It will go like that. And in between, all of a sudden, Suta Goswami said, it will come like this.
In between.
Yes. Yeah, in between, one or two shlokas. Again, so the conversation comes from flashback to present again. What is the present Bhagavatam which we are hearing? The conversation between the Suta Goswami and sages of Naimisharanya. This is the present.
Right.
Yeah. What is the first flashback? First flashback is Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Now, Sukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj about the different stories of different kalas.
Okay.
So, if Parikshit Maharaj asks something, Sukadeva Goswami tells answer for one canto. Whole canto is the answer for one question. Like 7th canto. And in 7th canto, what he says? There was a yajna which has been performed. No. In Rajasuya yajna, there was a conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Krishna, and how Krishna replied. Narada Muni, Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni, and how Narada replied. And in that, there comes the story of Prahlad Maharaj.
Mhm.
So now, how many flashbacks now? The Prahlad story is 4 flashbacks. One is, the present one is Sota Goswami and series of Naimisharanya. They were discussing about what? Conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Now, what did Sukadeva Goswami say? The conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narad Muni. So, what is Narad Muni saying? A story in different yuga. What is that story? Hiranyakashipu pastime. So, in that Hiranyakashipu pastime, there are again 2 more, what you say, flashbacks. So, at one point, there will be 7 flashbacks, Prabhuji. So we should be tracked where we are, what we are doing, and all. Sorry for interrupting you, but we wanted to know the present tense is now. See, it has come. Sri Sota Goswami said. Means now the conversation is between the sages of Naimisharanya and Sota Goswami. Now we are in the present tense. So once it comes, Sri, what you say, Sukadeva Goswami says, and Parikshit Maharaj asks. So that is the first background, first flashback. And sometimes it comes like Sri Narada said. So that is the second or third, flashbacks. So we should be, tracked where we are. And sometimes Sri Prahlad said means fourth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now we are in the present tense.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Sutta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthira administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. He had no personal ambition and was freed from all sorts of sense gratification because of his continuous service unto the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace. As mentioned in our introduction, there is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for all the suffering humanity of the world. And we simply request the leading personalities of all nations to take to the science of Krishna for their own good, for good of the society, and for good of all the people of the world. So it is confirmed herein by the example of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the personality of goodness. In India, the proper hanker after Ramarajya, because the personality of Godhead was ideal king, and all other kings or emperors in India controlled the destiny of the world for the prosperity of every living being who took birth on the earth. Herein the word praja is significant. The etymological import of this word, of the word, is that which is born. On the earth, there are many species of life, from the aquatics up to perfect human beings, and all are known as prajas. Lord Brahma, the creator of this particular universe, is known as Prajapati because he is grandfather of all who have taken birth. Thus, praja is used in a broader sense than it is now used. The king represents all the living beings, the aquatics, plants, trees, reptiles, birds, animals, and man. Every one of them is a part of the parcel, is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Gita 14.4. And the king, being the representative of the Supreme Lord, is duty bound to give proper protection to every one of them. This is not the case with the presidents and the dictators of this demoralized system of administration, where the lower animals are given no protection, while no protection, while the higher animals are given so-called protection. But this is a great science which can be learned only by one who knows the science of Krishna. By knowing the science of Krishna, one can become the most perfect man in the world. And unless one has knowledge in this science, all qualifications and doctorate diplomas acquired by academic education are spoiled and useless. Maharaj Yudhishthira knew this science of Krishna very well, for it is stated here that by continuous cultivation of this science, or by continuous devotional service to Lord Krishna, he acquired the qualification of administering the state. The father is sometimes seemingly cruel to the son, but that does not mean that the father has lost the qualification to be a father. The father is always a father because he always has the good of the son at heart. The father wants every one of his sons to become a better man than himself. Therefore, a king like Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the personality of goodness, wanted everyone under his administration, especially human beings who have better developed consciousness, to become devotees of the Lord so that everyone can become free from the trifles of material existence. His motto of administration was all good for the citizens. For as a personified goodness, he knows perfectly well what is actually good for them. He conducted the administration of that principle on that principle and not on the demonic principle of sense gratification. As an ideal king, he had no personal ambition, and there was no place for sense gratification because all his senses at all times were engaged in the loving service of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, which includes the partial service to the living beings who form the parts and parcels of the complete whole. Those who are busy rendering service to the parts and parcels, leaving aside the whole, only spoil time and energy, as one does when watering the leaves of a tree without watering the root. If water is poured on the root, the leaves are enlivened perfectly and automatically. But if water is poured on the leaves only, the whole energy is spoiled. Maharaj Yudhishthira, therefore, was constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the parts and parcels of the Lord, the living beings under his careful administration, were perfectly attended with all comforts in this life and all progress in the next. That is the way of perfect management of state administration. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Very good. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, 14.4. What is that? Just let me see. Yeah, Sarvayonishu Kaunteya, Murtaya Sambhavantiya, Tasham Brahma Mahadhyonir, Aham Bija Pradapita. I should be understood that all species of life, the son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, that I am the seed giving father. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Let me read. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. News even reached the celestial planets about Maharaj Yudhishthira's worldly positions, the sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination, his queen, his stalwart brothers, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, his fame, etc. Purport: only a rich and great man's name and fame are known all over the world, and the name and fame of Maharaj Yudhishthira reached the higher planets because of his good administration, worldly possessions, glorious wife Draupadi, the strength of his brothers Bhima and Arjuna, and his solid sovereign power over the world, known as Jambudvipa. Here the word Lokaha is significant. There are different lokas or higher planets scattered all over the sky, both material and spiritual. A person can reach them by dint of his work in the present life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25, no forceful entrance is allowed there. The tiny material scientists and engineers who have discovered vehicles to travel over a few thousand miles in outer space will not be allowed entrance. That is not the way to reach the better planets. One must qualify himself to enter into such happy planets by sacrifice and service. Those who are sinful in every step of life can expect only to be degraded into animal life, to suffer more and more the pangs of material existence. And this is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 16.19. Maharaja Yudhishthira's good sacrifices and qualifications were so lofty and virtuous that even the residents of the higher celestial planets were already prepared to receive him as one of them. Just quick check. What is this? 9.25. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitran Yanti Pitran Vrata, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Yanti Madhyachinokuma. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. And then another verse, Prabhupada quotes here, 16.19. Tannaham vishata kururan samsareshu naradhaman kshipami ajashram asubhan asurisva eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of mental existence into various demoniac species of life. Very good. Animalistic life, animal life. Yes, thank you. Again, Mata is, please read. Text 6. Samyukta Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Purport. There are two things in the world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is consciously a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the conditions of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be the served, but actually he is not served. He is servant of the senses like lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so-called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhishthira was one of the liberated souls, and therefore for him there was no pleasure in a vast kingdom, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow for a pure devotee, even though the devotee does not aspire for them. The example set herein exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance, only they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. This is called illusion. When the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even the people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? This hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be obtained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore one who has them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world, even if they are released by the denizens of the heavenly planets. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 16th shloka, it is said by the Lord that even in the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmaloka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earth calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger cannot be satisfied only when the living being is situated in immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky far, far above the Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. 8.6. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartina Arjuna Mahupetya Gavante Punarjanmana Vidyate. So this is all we know. Okay. Lastly, Prabhupada writes, such hunger can be satisfied only when the living being is situated in the immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky, far, far above the Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. So here everything is temporary. Yeah. Sandhya Mataji, please go ahead. Let us read another couple of verses and we'll go to practice.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: O son of Prabhu, Saunaka, when the child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother, Uttara, and was suffering from the burning heat of the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwathama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. Purport: death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. A living being, according to his own action, is allowed to enter into the womb of a mother by the vehicle of a father's semen, and thus he develops his desired body. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past actions. When he is awake from trance, he feels the inconvenience of being confined within the womb, and thus he wants to come out of it, and sometimes fortunately prays to the Lord for such liberation. Maharaj Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama, and he was feeling the burning heat. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared himself within the womb by his all-powerful energy, and the child could see that someone else had come to save him. Even in that helpless condition, the child Parikshit endured the unbearable temperature due to his being a great fighter by nature, and for this reason, the word viraha has been used.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 68, Raju Prabhu.
Translation: the Lord was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus, he was seen by the child.
Parikshit Maharaj seen that.
Translation: the Lord was enriched with the 4 hands, earrings of molten gold, and eyes blood red with furry. He is laritoid about his club constantly encircle him like a shooting star. Purport: it is said in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, that is the Supreme Lord Govinda, by his one plenary portion enter into the halo of the universe and distribute himself as a Paramatma, and are the super soul not only within the heart of every living being, but also within every atom of the material elements. Thus, the Lord is all pervading by his inconceivable potential, and thus he entered the womb of the Uttara to save his beloved devotee Maharaj Parikshit. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.31, the Lord assured everyone that his devotees are never to be vanquished. No one can kill a devotee of the Lord because he is protected by the Lord, and no one can save the person whom the Lord desired to kill. The Lord is all powerful, and therefore he can both save and kill as he likes. He became visible to the devotee Maharaj Parikshit even in the awkward position in the womb of his mother, in the shape of just suitable for his vision. The Lord can become bigger than thousands of universe and can become smaller than the atom at the same time. Merciful as he is, he becomes just suitable to the vision of the limited living being. He is unlimited. He is not only limited by any measurement of our calculation. He can become bigger than what we can think of, and he can become smaller than what we can conceive. But in all circumstances, he is the same all-powerful Lord. There is no difference between the thumb-like Vishnu in the womb of Uttara and the full-fledged Narayana in the Vaikuntha Dhama, the kingdom of Godhead. He accepts the form of Archa Vigraha, worshipable deity, just to accept the service from his incapable devotees. By the mercy of the Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord in the material elements, the devotees who are in the material world can easily approach the Lord. Although he is not conceivable, by the material senses. The Archa Vigraha is the therefore in all spiritual form of the Lord. The Archa Vigraha is the therefore in all spiritual form of the Lord to be perceived by the material devotees. Such a Archa Vigraha of the Lord is never to be considered material. Therefore, there is no difference between them. There is no difference between matter and spirit of the Lord. Although there is a gulf of difference between the two in the case of conditioned living being. For the Lord, there is nothing but spiritual existence, and similarly, there is nothing except spiritual existence for the pure devotee of the Lord in his intimate relation with the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah. Shri Vigraha, Acha Vigraha, Shri Vigraha Aradhana Nityananam. Yes, that's what it is. So everything Krishna's devotee is using for the Krishna service, whatever he has, and he can easily approach through Acha Vigraha. Of course, our material blunt senses cannot see actual original form of the Lord. That's why Acha Vigraha also recommended to perform our devotional service in front of the deity. That way, actually, the deity reciprocates to devotees. There are many pastimes actually. Sakshi Gopal, many things. Yeah. Lord speaks through his deity directly to his pure devotees. Yeah. Lalitman Prabhu, I think Akinjan Priya Prabhu, Chandra Prabhu, Janar. Meer jarina tarvata Chauta Prabhu chadandi.
లేదు వాళ్ళని చదవని బ్రో, నేను తర్వాత
చదవండి.
లాస్ట్ చెప్తాను, పర్వాలేదు.
Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord was thus engaged in vanquishing the radiation of the Brahmastra, just as the sun evaporates a drop of dew. He was observed by the child who thought about who he was. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. While thus being observed by the child, the Supreme Lord personality of Godhead, the super soul of everyone, and the protector of righteous, who stretches in all directions and who is unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once. Purport. Child Parishit was not observing a living being who is limited by time and space. There is a gulf. There is a gulf of difference between the Lord and the individual living being. The Lord is mentioned herein as the supreme living being, unlimited by time and space. Every living being is limited by time and space. Even though a living being is qualitatively one with the Lord, quantitatively there is a great difference between the supreme soul and the common individual soul. In the Bhagavad Gita, both the living beings and the supreme being are said to be all pervading. Yena sarvam edam tatam. Yet there is a difference between these two kinds of all pervasiveness. A common living being or soul can be all pervading with this own limited body, but the supreme living being is all pervading in all space and all the time. A common living being cannot extend its influence over another common living being by its all pervasiveness, but the supreme soul, supreme super soul, the personality of Godhead, is unlimitedly able to exert his influence over all the places and all the times and all over living beings. And because he is all pervasive, unlimited by time and space, he can appear even within the womb of the mother of child Parishit. He is mentioned herein as the protector of the righteous. Anyone who is a surrendered soul unto the supreme is righteous, and he is specifically protected by the Lord in all circumstances. The Lord is the indirect protector of the unrighteous also, for he rectifies their sins though his external potency. The Lord is mentioned herein as one who is dressed in the 10 directions. This means dressed with garments and garments on 10 sides up and down. He is present everywhere and can appear and disappear at his will from everywhere and anywhere. His disappearance from the sight of the child Parishit does not mean that he appeared on the spot from any other place. He was present there, and even after his disappearance, he was there. although invisible to the eyes of the child. This material covering of the effulgent firmament is also something like a womb of the mother nature, and we are all put into the womb by the Lord, the Father of all living beings. He is present everywhere, even in this material womb of Mother Durga, and and those who are deserving can see the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Kincham Priya Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We can, with this we'll stop, okay? We can practice that. You can read, Prabhu, this one.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Thereupon, when all the good signs of zodiac gradually evolved, the hair apparent of Pandu, who would be exactly like him in prowess, took birth. Purport. Astronomical calculation of stellar influences upon a living being are not suppositions, but a factual as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Every living being is controlled by the laws of nature at every minute, just as a citizen is controlled by the influence of the state. The state laws are grossly observed, but the laws of material nature, being subtle to our gross understanding, cannot be experienced grossly. A state, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, every action of life produces another action, which is binding upon us, and only those who are acting on behalf of Yagna, Vishnu, and not bound by the reactions. Our actions are judged by the higher authorities, the agents of the Lord, and thus we are awarded bodies according to our activities. The law of nature is so subtle that every part of the body is influenced by the respective stars, and the living beings obtain his working body to fulfill his terms of imprisonment by the manipulation of such astronomical influence. A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time constellation of stars, and a factual horoscope is made. Yeah, where is that? A factual horoscope is made by the learned astrologer. It is a great science, and the misuse of the science does not make it useless. Maharaj Parikshit, or even the personality of Godhead, appear in certain constellation of good stars, and thus the influence is exerted upon the body, thus born at an auspicious moment. The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place during the appearance of the Lord in the material world, and it is specifically called Jayanti, a word not to be abused for any other purposes. Maharaj Parikshit was not only a great Kshatriya emperor, but also a great devotee of the Lord. Thus, he cannot take his birth at any inauspicious moment. As proper place and time is selected to receive the respectable personage, so also to receive such a personality of Maharaj Parikshit, who was especially cared for the Supreme Lord. A suitable moment is chosen when all the stars assemble together to exert their influence upon the king. Thus, he took his birth just to be known as the great hero of Srimad Bhagavatam. The suitable arrangement of the astral influence is never a creation of man's will, but is the arrangement of superior management of the agency of the Supreme Lord. Of course, the arrangement is made according to the good or bad deeds of the living beings. Herein lies the importance of the pious acts performed by the living beings. Only by pious acts one can be allowed to get the good health, good education, and beautiful futures. The samskaras of the school of the Sanatan Dharma, man eternal engagement, are highly suitable for creating the atmosphere for taking the advantage of good stellar influences, and therefore Garbhadana Sanskara are the first seedling purificatory process prescribed for the higher caste is the beginning of all the pious acts to receive the good, pious and intelligent class of men in the human society. There will be a peace and prosperity in the world due to good and sane population only. There is hell and disturbance only because of unwanted insane populace addicted to sex indulgence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm just looking one statement.
So there is one thing known as specifically called Jayanti. You heard this, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Day before yesterday.
Only yesterday.
No. Day before yesterday, Prabhuji. What happened here is they were at 12 o'clock in the night. They were doing the crackers. No, because the street just beside our street, that Minister Street is there, house is there. So he became minister in our, our MLA became minister. So they are celebrating his Jayanti at 12 o'clock. And he's such a, what to speak of him. How distracted people has become, I was thinking,
Kali Yuga influence.
Yesterday was also Gandhi Jayanti, no, bro?
Oh, yeah. I forgot him only, actually. That is also Jayanti. Yes, bro.
Gandhi is Jayanti, Gandhi is a Mahatma. So Mahatma also definition is different given by Prabhupada.
Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti. Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti. Yes. Actually, Mahatma is a great soul. Great soul Jayanti when they are coming into the path of devotion spirit. They took new birth. Jayanti means birthday. Jayanti, Vardhanti. Two things, right? Jayanti, Puttina Roju. Vardhanti, Chanipena Roju. So, how a pure devotee comes at the lotus feet of Krishna is Jayanti. Devotional life Jayanti. Pure devotional life is Jayanti.
Yesterday, one more devotee, Raju Prabhuji is also
Jayanti. Haribol.
Birthday.
Yeah. Raju Prabhu's Jayanti yesterday.
Yes, Raju Prabhu ki jai. One of the wonderful soul we are having here. Right.
Yes,
Hare Krishna, you are still there?
Wonderful devotee.
మీ యొక్క గ్లోరియస్ ముఖార విందాన్ని చూపాను ప్రభుజీ. హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభు, వెరీ నైస్. ఊర్లో ఉన్నారని తెలుసు. లెట్ us pray for our dear soul, Raju Prabhu, 3 times Hare Krishna mantra, okay? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare.
థ్యాంక్ యూ రాజు ప్రభు, మీ యొక్క అసోసియేషన్ ఇక్కడ రెగ్యులర్ గా ఇస్తున్నందుకు. అండ్ వీఆర్ వెరీ వెరీ హ్యాపీ అబౌట్ యూ. ఐ మీన్ సిన్సియర్లీ ప్రాక్టీసింగ్ దిస్ పాత్. అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ ఇన్స్పైరింగ్ అస్.
No, Prabhuji.
You are good. You are nice, very nice. From bottom of my heart, Prabhu, you are there. Sincere practice. You are there, Prabhu. Okay.
So he's an example of simple farmer becoming a software engineer, Prabhu.
Belated happy birthday, Raju Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So ఏంటి ప్రభు, ఏం ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దాం ప్రభు? ఆ ప్రభు ఇదేనా చూద్దామా? నా పేరు ఏంటి? అమరేంద్ర ప్రభు ఒకసారి మినీ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దామా
ప్రభు? అది ఏంటంటే తర్వాత చూద్దాం ప్రభుజీ లాస్ట్ లో ఉంది.
సరే ఇప్పుడు చెప్పండి. మీదే ఐఎమ్ ఎట్ యువర్ సర్వీస్. చెప్పండి ప్రభు, ఇదేనా చూద్దామా?
ప్రభు ఏదో తిట్టినట్టు ఉంది ప్రభు నన్ను.
ఎట్ యువర్ సర్వీస్ ఏం తిట్టడం లేదు ప్రభు, మంచిగానే.
చాలా ప్రభు అలా అంటే చాలా తిట్టినట్టే ప్రభు. మా బేస్ లో అలాగే మాట్లాడుతాం ప్రభు.
ఐఎమ్ ఎట్ యువర్ సర్వెంట్. ఐఎమ్ ఎట్ యువర్ సర్వీస్.
బాప్రే బాప్రే ప్రభు ప్రభు
చెప్పండి ప్రభు. ఎస్ ఎస్ వి ఆర్ ఆల్ ఎట్ అవర్ గురు పరంపర సర్వీస్. చలో బోలో ప్రభు.
ప్రభుజీ we will do Barhapidam ప్రభుజీ. Or let us take the opinion of all the devotees. What either we do Amarendra Prabhu's and practice that, or we go for Barhapidam. Let them decide, Prabhuji. Let us take opinion of everyone.
Hand raise. Utilize Zoom icons. Let us use technology. What we are trying to.
So I'll put a question now. So let them either thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. And let them know the opinion of theirs. Shall we go to
what is Amarendra Prabhuji saying, Prabhuji? I missed that.
అది సీక్రెట్. అది we will reveal later. First.
Oh yeah. మీరు అది రివీల్ చేయకుండా thumbs up thumbs down
No, my question is, Prabhuji, see, shall we go with the Barhapidam?
Yeah, question.
Please give a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Or thumbs down.
That's it. Everyone post there.
Yes, I'm fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Prabhuji, I did not get the question. What is that?
Prabhu, the question is, do we want to go with the new shloka, or shall we practice the old one? If we want to go for the new shloka, thumbs up.
No.
Okay. If shall we want to go to the new practice, thumbs up. No, thumbs down.
Yeah.
For 2 days, we'll practice the old ones, Prabhuji. After that,
thumbs up thumbs down చేయాలి Prabhuji. అట్లా చెప్పొద్దు.
అట్లా కదా, రెండు ఉంటుంది, కండిషన్స్ ఉంటాయి.
నేను రేజ్ చేసిన ఆల్రెడీ. థమ్స్ అప్ నేను రేజ్ హ్యాండ్ వేసిన. రేజ్ హ్యాండ్ అంటే అది రెండు ఆప్షన్స్.
మీ ఓటు చెల్లదు బ్రో.
మంచిదే ప్రభు. ఇప్పుడు చెల్లెలా చేస్తా అని.
గిరిరాజ్ ప్రభు థమ్స్ అప్ ఇచ్చారు కాబట్టి వి కాంట్ థమ్స్ డౌన్ ప్రభు. సో విల్ ఫాలో గిరిరాజ్.
సంధ్యా మాతాజీ, సంయుక్త మాతాజీ, what do you people say?
Anything is fine, Prabhuji.
New shloka, Prabhuji.
New
shloka, Prabhuji. Barhapidam.
New shloka. Sandhya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. We can learn new shloka.
New shloka? Okay. మన రాజ్ ప్రభు ఉన్నారా? శిరీష మాతాజీ ఉన్నదా? లేకపోతే
శిరీష మాతాజీ కుకింగ్ చేస్తుంది, తను ఇంటికి వస్తే.
సరే ప్రభు. ఓకే.
నేను ఐడియల్ ప్రభుజీ అంటే నేను జస్ట్
బీన్ హియరింగ్ మోడ్. ఓకే, ఎనీథింగ్ ఇస్ ఓకే ఫర్ యూ నా?
బట్ అడగకండి ప్రభుజీ, మళ్ళీ చేస్తారని నాకు మళ్ళీ టెన్షన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. మళ్ళీ నేను నెక్స్ట్ టైం కాల్లో ఉండను.
ఏం పర్లేదు ప్రభు, ఉన్నంతసేపు వినండి. పక్కన
మీరు అడగనంత వరకు ఉంటాను ప్రభుజీ. మీరు నన్ను
అడిగితే నారాజ్ అయిపోతారు.
Sorry, bro. We have only 5 minutes today, so we will know the importance of this shloka now. 5 minutes is a very like we are doing a lot of injustice to that shloka, but still we will go. And tomorrow also we will continue about the class of this shloka. Only the importance of this shloka. Okay, we will not directly hop into this. Once we know the importance, then we know what it is actually. See, the first part, it is said like Bhagavatam is how Bhagavatam. Different cantos of Bhagavatam are different limbs of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, and in all the limbs, it is said that Mukharavindha is what? 10th canto. Is everyone okay with this? Now everyone knows this, right? 10th canto is the Mukharavindha.
Yes.
And of this Mukharavindha, it is said the 21st chapter is from the down of his nostrils till the chin. This Venu Gita, it is said. And in this Venu Gita, this 5th shloka, it is said that his smile actually. If we see anyone, how will we get attracted to him? Only by his smile, no?
Right.
Anyone, men or women, no? any of the sex. It's only by their laughing glances, right?
Correct.
So Krishna actually moves his lips in such a way that it appears differently for different people. For a Rakshasa, it appears like the last laugh. I will have the last laugh always. ఎవరైనా మనం మోసం చేద్దాం అనుకున్నారనుకోండి, వాళ్ళు మోసపోయారు అనుకోండి, తర్వాత మనం నవ్వుతాం కదా లాస్ట్ లో, వాళ్ళు మోసపోయాక గ్రిన్ వెరీ గ్రాండ్. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద లాస్ట్ లవ్. So that is how he laughs with the same lips to the Rakshasa or a demon. But with the same lips, he laughs how? In a very attractive congenial mood with the gopis and with his friends bashfully. And he will have a complete laugh with his friends. So the same lips or the same this one will reciprocate in different ways to the different people. So this shloka is said to be a lips of Lord Sri Krishna, which is the most attractive part of all his face. That is what it is said. And this shloka describes about the personal feature of the Lord. What all Srimad Bhagavatam describes is about the love exchanges between a God and his disciple or his devotee. That is what it is, exchanges between the God and his devotee, God and his devotee. But this 10th canto completely describes what is the personal aspects of the Lord. And of that, 21st chapter is Venugita. Means Krishna is, giving his flute actually, is, playing his flute. So when he plays his flute, what happens to all the living entities in the Vraj is about this chapter. See, it is said that the gopis, they say that Yamuna, instead of flowing, it starts whirlwinding when he does this Venugita, when he plays his flute. And the birds, they start catching their stems very strongly with their legs, because they will go into trance in such a way that they will lose their balance. So that is what Venugita says. And in that Venugita, there is one shloka which actually describes about the personal feature of the Lord, how Lord looks. In the whole 10th canto, there are only 3 shlokas which describes this personal feature of the Lord. One is 10:14.1. Prabhu, if you can please open those things, those 2 shlokas also.
Yeah, I'll open 1 second.
Yeah.
Japan, Prabhu, ఏంది verse?
Yes, one is, Prabhu, there are only 3 shlokas which describes about the personal feature of the Lord in 10th canto. SB 10:14.1. So this is what Brahma describes when he sees, after that Brahma Vimohan Leela, how Lord Krishna looks.
Next, ఇంకోటి ఏం చెప్పారు? ఇంకో 2 శ్లోకం.
10:23-22 అనుకుంటా, ఒకసారి తీయండి ప్రభుజీ. 23-22 కదా. The Brahman Patnis, they describe about how Lord appears. 23-22 చూడండి.
23 chapter
23.22.
ఇది compilation was dark ఇదేనా?
మీరంతా వినే ఉంటారు ఈ శ్లోకాస్. ఇప్పుడు మెనీ డివోటీస్ దే రిసైట్ యాక్చువల్లీ.
అదే
శ్యామం హిరణ్య పరిధిం అర్థమైంది ప్రభు? 80 ఉన్నది. Yes, Prabhuji. If someone can try, they can practice this.
Let me try, Prabhu.
శ్యామం హిరణ్యపరిధిం వనమాల్యభర్. సారీ, ఐఎమ్ సారీ బాబు.
యా నేనేం చేయట్లేదు, చేయండి మీరు చేసినాక చేస్తా.
లేదు మీకు ఒకసారి వెళ్ళిపోద్దా కదా.
ఓకే, లెట్ మీ ట్రై. శ్యామం హిరణ్య పరిధిం వనమాల్య బర్హ ధాతు ప్రవాల నటవేషం అనవృతాంసే విన్యస్తహస్తం ఇతరేణ ధునానం ఆబ్జం కర్ణోత్పలాలక కపోల ముఖాబ్జహాసం. ఫస్ట్ టైం.
యా, ఫస్ట్ టైం ఇట్లానే ఉంటుంది. సెకండ్ టైం నుంచి మీకు ఇప్పుడు చేస్తారు ఇంకా. What is this like? See the meaning of this, Prabhuji.
Sadan Prabhuji.
Translation. His complexion was dark blue and his garments golden, wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals, spring of flower buds, and a garland of forest flowers and leaves. He was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. You know, Prabhuji, like everyone, I'm just addressing to everyone. Will you go with this 10:14:1, Prabhuji?
ఇది ఉంది కదా, ఇది
yeah.
కూడా అదేనా?
10:14:1. This is Sri Brahma Watch.
ఇదేంటిది ట్యూన్ మాకు నేర్చుకున్నదేనా?
Prabhu, మీరు నేర్చుకున్న someone raised their hand, I don't know why. Who?
Akinjan Priya Prabhu raised his hand.
Chapan Prabhu.
I raised earlier, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You want to recite? If you want to recite, Prabhu. Akinjan Prabhu.
You was telling, yeah, we can go ahead. You were asking, can we go? Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just explaining. I'm just telling you. మనకి ఇంకా 1 minute చెప్తాను ఇవ్వాలంతే. రేపు పొద్దున again 10 minutes at least మనం దీన్ని తీసుకుందాం. Only then we will practice, okay? Because we should know the importance of that shloka. Now this shloka can be practiced in 2 ways. You people decide and let me know tomorrow, okay? That is a task for you people, for your devotees. Please try practice in a way which you know. మనకు వచ్చిన శ్లోకాస్ ఇందులోనే ఉంటది.
అదే ఎందులో అంటే ఆ ట్యూన్ ఒకసారి చెప్తే.
Probably ఇది 10:14:1 అని ఒకసారి చూడండి.
ఇది ఏంది బ్రో? నంబర్ ఏంది బ్రో? ఇది 10:14:1. ఓకే.
ఒకసారి చూడండి.
బ్రహ్మ వాచ్ అనేది కరెక్ట్ కదా?
సరే. నవమీతితే బర్హ.
దేంట్లో వస్తుంది ఇది ఒకసారి చెప్పండి. ఫస్ట్ దానిలో వస్తుందా, సెకండ్ దానిలో వస్తుందా?
ఫస్ట్. శ్రుత్వా నౌమీద్యతే బర్హ వపుసే తదిదంబరాయ
భుంజావతాంస పరిపిచ్చల సన్ముఖాయ వన్యస్తదే కవలవేత్ర విశానవేనో లక్ష్మణ
శ్రీయే మృదుపదే పశుపాంగజాయ.
హరి బోల్, హరి బోల్. నైస్.
మాతాజీస్.
యా, మాతాజీస్.
సంయుక్త మాతాజీ అండ్ సంధ్య మాతాజీ.
యాక్చువల్ గా అంటే ఇది నేను బయట అంటే విన్నదే. యాక్చువల్ గా పిచ్ లెవెల్స్ ఫర్ మాతాజీస్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్. అందుకే సింగింగ్ ఉంటది. సో మాతాజీస్, సో ఇది ఫస్ట్ శ్లోకము మనం నేర్చుకున్న దాంట్లో. ఇది కూడా అదే కదా ప్రభు, ఫస్ట్ కదా?
ఎస్ ప్రభుజీ. సో ప్రభుజీ ఇది కూడా ఒకసారి దీని మీనింగ్ చూడండి ప్రభుజీ. దీని మీనింగ్ చూద్దాం దాన్ని. 10:14:1.
10:14:1 చూడండి. రైట్. బ్రహ్మదేవుడు చెప్తున్నాడు.
ఇది కాదు, శ్యామం హిరణం తీశాను
కాదు, ఇది నవమీడియా దేవుడు.
ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది బ్రహ్మ.
Yes,
My dear
Baba.
Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O Son of the King of the Cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of the various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. So this is how Brahma describes how this Krishna looks in Vrindavan. See, Krishna looks differently in different places, but what we should be attracted to, his original feature of what he is exactly. See, when he takes a Vesha, means he has adored something, na?
Correct.
But what actually he is. That is said in these 3 shlokas only. Other shlokas, they describe how he is looking like a king, how he is looking like a, what is a warrior and all. But this is the only shloka, these 3 are the only shlokas which describe what he is actually. Others are Veshas, or he has taken some duties, so he appears differently. But what he is actually is these 3 shlokas. Of these 3, the Barha is the exactly more this one, what is it, more near. Why? Because Gopis has described, because they have seen him properly rather than anyone. So tomorrow we will continue, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for everyone listening to this.
ఈ శ్లోకాలు పెడతాం ప్రభుజీ, ఓకేనా? మనకు ఒక ఐడియా ఉంటది.
పెట్టండి ప్రభుజీ, పెట్టండి. ఇలా ట్యూన్స్ అనుకుంటే 20 శ్లోకాలు అయిపోతాయి, 30 శ్లోకాలు అయిపోతాయి.
మంచి పని. ఏముంది ప్రభు, ఇంతకు మించి ఇంకేం కావాలి చెప్పండి. ఇక్కడ నేను రాస్తున్నా, ఒకటి చెప్పండి ప్రభుజీ. లెట్ us see. బ్యూటిఫుల్.
ఈ శ్లోకాలు మరి కంటిన్యూస్ లేదా ప్రభుజీ? when it is describing about Krishna, how original in his original form, so here and here there, అక్కడ ఇక్కడ ఉందా?
అరే ప్రభుజీ, అట్లా కాదు, ఒక్కొక్క పొజిషన్ లో ఒక్కొక్కళ్ళు బృందావన కృష్ణని డిస్క్రైబ్ చేశారనమాట. బ్రహ్మదేవుడు చూసినప్పుడు ఆయన డిస్క్రైబ్ చేసింది అనమాట.
ఓకే, బ్రహ్మ glorified other. ఓకే ఓకే, గాట్ ఇట్.
ఈ నాకు చెప్పారు కదా, ఇక నేను రాసేసుకుంటా. రైట్, రాసుకుంటాం ప్రభు. ఇలా పెట్టేస్తా. ఇదొకటి, ఇది 10:21. ఇంకా 2 ఇక్కడ పెట్టేస్తా. రేపు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దాం. నో రష్. ఓకేనా ప్రభుజీ? హరే కృష్ణ.
ప్రాక్టీస్ రేపు కాదు ప్రభుజీ, ఎల్లుండి ఎప్పుడు చేద్దాం. రేపు కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్ శ్లోక ప్రభు, చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ శ్లోక.
మీ వాయిస్ పోయింది. మీ వాయిస్
బ్రేక్ అయింది. అది
వస్తుందా?
ఇప్పుడు వస్తుంది, బట్ స్టిల్ ఫీబుల్ అవుతుంది. ఫీబుల్
సిగ్నల్ ఇస్ నాట్ గుడ్ ప్రభుజీ. ఇట్స్ వెరీ క్లౌడీ అండ్ రెయినీ హియర్.
అచ్చా, రెయిన్ వస్తుంది. రైట్. విల్ డు టుమారో దెన్. నో వరీస్.
yes కృష్ణ. ఓకే, హరే కృష్ణ.
హరే కృష్ణ. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఆల్ వెరీ మచ్. వాంఛా కల్పతరుభ్యశ్చ కృపా సింధుభైః చ పతితానాం పావనేభ్యో వైష్ణవేభ్యో నమో నమః. అనంత కోటి వైష్ణవ జై. శిల ప్రభుపాద కీ జై. శిల గురుదేవ్ కీ జై. నితాయ్ గౌర హరి ప్రేమానందే. హరి హరి. అకించ ప్రభు, సారీ నిన్న మీ క్లాస్ అటెండ్ కాలేదు. ఇక్కడ వేరే ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉంటుండే. మీరు భలే చెప్పుకుంటారు సార్. సమ్మరీ ఇట్లా వాటర్ లాగా మీకు ఇట్లా చెప్పేస్తారు కదా, భాగవతం ఇది అలవోకగా చెప్పేస్తారు.
హరే కృష్ణ. లేదు కాబట్టి మంచిగా ఉన్నారు బ్రో.
హరే కృష్ణ. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఆల్ వెరీ మచ్.
వస్తలేరా దసరాకి?
దుర్గాష్టమి వస్తున్నా, మీ ఇంటికి వస్తున్నా డైరెక్ట్. హరే కృష్ణ. థ్యాంక్ యూ.